When it comes to making a turkey, it can be really daunting. There's so many things that can go wrong. It can come out dry, it can be undercooked, overcooked, and that's why with this recipe, we throw the turkey into a brine first before we do anything. This helps tenderize the meat, makes it more flavorful, and gives it more of a buffer zone so it doesn't overcook.
And we're pairing the turkey with this delicious stuffing made with French bread and fresh herbs.
And let's show you how to make it. So first we're gonna start with the brine. Here's what you're gonna need for the brine. We have our water, kosher salt, brown sugar, onions and shallots, clementines, but you can also use oranges or tangerines, and your fresh aromatics. We're using woody herbs like thyme and rosemary because they'll hold the flavor. We are gonna get rid of the stems when we're putting the rosemary in, just so it doesn't add the woody bitterness of the flavor. Kosher salt, for every liter that you're using, it's about half a cup. The reason we would use kosher salt is to tenderize the meat and soften it. Brown sugar adds a little bit of sweetness, but it also adds caramelization. You don't have to use brown sugar as well. You can also use molasses or sugar, whichever one you have, or both. But brown sugar sort of is the hack between the two, so you can just use brown sugar and you'll get the caramelization as well as the sweetness for the brine. Okay, now that we have all of these, let's start putting it into a pot. So now we can get our water boiling. The reason why we would make a brine is because it adds more juiciness and flavor to the turkey. So this actually gives you a little bit more of a buffer time, just in case you're a little bit worried about overcooking the turkey or the turkey getting a little too dry. And for the rosemary, we're just gonna take the sprigs off of the stems. And for the clementines, if you're not a huge fan of citrus, you can also use peels or lemons or grapefruit.
This is also a great opportunity to add your favorite herbs or flavors. Even items like white wine, cranberries, rice vinegar, and browning sauce are all alternatives that can also work with the brine.
So we're just gonna stir this occasionally and bring it to a boil. Once the sugar and salt is dissolved and everything is a little tender, then it's good to go. So now that everything's dissolved and fragrant, we can remove it from the heat and add water to bring it down to room temperature.
We're using a total of 8 liters for this brine.
We're just gonna move this so we can get the turkey. And here we have our turkey. The first thing we would wanna do, just to make sure that everything is good to go, is just to lift the skin a little bit, just so it's easier for the brine to seep underneath. This feels a little invasive.
Try getting all the way to the end of the legs and the breast.
So here we have our roasting pan as well as our brining bag. You can get a brining bag on Amazon or anything like that, but if you don't have a brining bag, you can also use a large pot that can hold the turkey, of course. So now that we have our brining bag, we can place the turkey in, and then we can pour the brining over top. Okay, so as you can see, there is a little top piece that isn't completely submerged. That's just because the liquid is sort of pooling over. So we're gonna wrap this up and then put the lid on so the lid will hold in the liquid just so it's completely submerged. So now we're just gonna place this in the fridge and let it marinate for 12 hours to a full day. So in the meantime, while we wait for the turkey to brine, let's make our compound butter. What we're gonna need is butter, of course, as well as shallots and garlic for flavor. We're also going to use herbs like thyme, rosemary, sage, and of course parsley. These are really herbaceous and they're going to add a lot of flavor when we rub it into the turkey and onto the skin. To mix this all together, you can use a food processor, but to keep it really easy, I'm going to show you how to do it just in a bowl. Now this is unsalted butter as well. If you're going to use salted butter, just keep that in mind and you can completely mix the salt all together.
This compound butter is also great with steaks and mashed potatoes and even more.
Here's what it looks like when it's ready to go. We're just gonna wrap it and keep it safe until tomorrow. Now that this is brining for 24 hours, we can preheat the oven for 450 degrees and get this out of the brine and ready to bake. So first we're gonna get our roasting tray ready, starting with the base layer. What you can use is grill racks, but what I like to do is use any leftover vegetables and create a base layer at the bottom. So now that we have the turkey in, we can fill the cavity with onions and herbs as well as get the butter going.
This helps prevent the turkey from drying out and also adds flavor in the process. Just keep in mind the cavity will have a lot of moisture, so anything that you put in will have to absorb all the moisture. And when you're adding the butter, don't forget to hit the wings and the legs because they'll dry out the fastest.
Now that the turkey's buttered up, we can tie down the legs with some cooking twine. This will just help it prevent it from burning and hold in the moisture for the turkey, as well as hold down the skin so it holds in the moisture. What we're gonna use for that is some toothpicks. Now we're gonna bake this at 450 degrees for 15 minutes, and then bring the temperature down to 350 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes per pound.
And while it's cooking, baste it every 30 minutes to hold in the moisture, and if you notice that the wings or legs are getting a little overcooked, just add some aluminum foil.
So while the turkey bakes, what we can make is the stuffing.
It's savory, full of herbs, and perfect for sopping up any gravy.
So what we're going to use is French bread. With French bread, it's more of a white bread, which dries out. What's nice is this has been left out for over 24 hours, so it should dry out, and what you can hear is a little bit of a crisp. But yeah, we really want this crispiness because we'll have a little bit of crispiness on the outside and the soft, sort of chewy interior on the inside. But yeah, this is
First, we're gonna melt our butter. It may seem a lot, but keep in mind it's a full loaf of bread. Then you can pour in your onions, followed by the celery.
And now we're just gonna cook this down.
Once tender, we're adding poultry seasoning, followed by some fresh herbs like sage, rosemary, parsley, and when it's fragrant, you can take it off the heat.
And now we can add everything to the bowl and make this.
Add your vegetable mix, followed by your favorite stock. We're using chicken stock, and then follow it with eggs.
Now you don't have to add eggs, but eggs just acts as a binder to help bring the stuffing and all the other ingredients together. Now we're just going to put the stuffing into an 8x13 baking dish and bake with the turkey.
As you're putting in the stuffing, just spread it out thoroughly and keep in mind that the top parts are going to be crispy. And we're going to bake that for about 30 minutes right next to the turkey.
So here we have our turkey. It's been baking for about an hour and 15 minutes and it should be good. What we're gonna do first, before anything, is just check the temperature. We can check it through the breast or the thigh, going for the thickest part of either side of the turkey, and it should reach about 160 degrees. And yep, that is good to go. So now that the temperature is good, we're just gonna take off the aluminum foil, and we're going to let the turkey rest just for about 15 to 20 minutes. This is to let the juices reabsorb the same way you would with steak or anything like that. And here is the turkey. She's beauty, she's grazed. There were parts when I was like lifting her where I was really worried about it just like falling apart because of how tender and juicy it is. So now that we have the turkey here, we can start putting some garnishes and adornments around the turkey. This is completely up to you what you want to put around it. I like to accent it with the flavors that we've actually put into it, just for a little bit better presentation, but also just to like give a nod to what the flavors would taste like. And here we have our stuffing. It came out perfect. It's golden on the top, crispy, but underneath, there's a lot of softness to it, and it's really great for sopping up the gravy. Okay, and there you go. You have the juiciest turkey, followed by a stuffing to complement it. And now that you know how to brine a turkey, making turkey will be a breeze. And if you like this recipe, don't forget to give it a like, and you can subscribe down below.